Okay, so now we're going to be threading the top of the machine. So I've put my spool of thread, make sure the writing is facing the correct way. I put it on the left hand side. I'm started by threading, just threading up through this top loop first. Okay, and you want to thread from back to front. So I've got the thread coming out the front of that loop. Next thing we're doing is going down to this little post right on the top of the machine, okay? And on that post, there's a hole at the bottom. The first thing you want to do is go from back to front through that hole, okay? Then there's these little tension discs on top. And I want to slide my thread right in between those tension discs. Right? You might have to hold on to the back of the thread while you give it a little tug to be sure it's threaded. Okay, so I've threaded through there. After that, we're moving over to this little funky looking bar that's sitting on top of the machine. Okay, it's got two holes in it. Looks like a little paddle. Now this one we're threading, it's not very intuitive how we thread it. We're going to thread from right to left through the top loop. Then, this is the weird part, we're going to bring that thread around and we're going to go right to left through the bottom loop. Okay, so your thread kind of makes a little S through there. After that, you're going to come down, you've got another set of tension discs right here. This is really important. So right after the S, you want to come down, get right in between those two tension discs. Make sure you give it a little tug. Make sure it's in between those tension discs. Then, after that, you've got this little wire hook. You need to grab that wire hook with your thread. So, see how the thread is actually pulling the wire thread? That's going to keep your tension strong while you're sewing. So that's a really important step. A lot of times, people miss that step and then they don't understand why it's not sewing properly. 9 times out of 10, when your sewing machine is not sewing properly, this is the tension right here. Please do not change this tension. It's not the tension. It is probably misthreaded. Okay? So after that little wire, then you're going to come down and put it around this little stationary hook. Okay? See how that works? Going through that stationary hook, then you'll come up to this one and you just want to get right behind that hook. Then, okay, after that hook, then you want to go through the lever right here. You're going from right to left through that lever. I'm going to pull this all the way up so that the lever's at the very top. That makes sure my needle is all the way in the up position. I want to go through this stationary hook right here. Right? Then we get down to where the needle is, okay? And if you guys can see, there's a little wire stationary hook right here. And to get my needle in there, I'm just going to go all the way back behind it. And make sure it's hooked through the front, okay? Next, you may need to snip the end of your thread just to make sure it will go through the needle. There's a hole right at the top of the needle. You want to go from front to back through that hole. Then, always on an industrial lock stitch machine, you're going to thread the needle from left to right. So I'm going in the left-hand side to the right-hand side. All right, so now you've got the top of the machine all threaded. Now, this, if you pull on this thread, you're not going to get much leeway. The thing is, in order to get that thread to move, if you lift up the presser foot, you'll be able to pull that thread out, okay? It's kind of like a safety mechanism that it locks it in place when the presser foot is down, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now you're ready to pull the bobbin, place the bobbin thread in the spool and put it in the machine, then pull the bobbin thread up, okay? And I'm gonna move my camera so you get a better view of that. All right, guys, so now we're ready to load the bobbin. Okay, so in order to do that, I wanna make sure the thread is coming off. If I'm holding my bobbin upright, I've got the thread coming off the top right-hand side of the spool, and I'm going to just drop it into this bobbin case like that. I'm going to take my thread and see this little slit right here. I want my thread to come up through that slit, and then I'm going to pull it around so it comes through that little hole right there. And I'm going to check it, and in order to check it, I want to make sure that my bobbin is winding clockwise. That's very important, okay? So now that I've got everything checked, I'm ready to put the bobbin into the machine. Now, this little lever it pulls little clamps in so that when I have that tab pulled out, I can hold this upside down. I'm not gonna lose my bobbin, okay? So if when I put my bobbin case into the machine, I wanna be holding onto that tab so my bobbin doesn't fall out into, there's like a little dish down there that will catch it, but it always has oil in it, so it gets a little gross. But so, I'm gonna take my hand, put it under the machine, because there's a little opening down there. And I'm just gonna slide it right on top of that post, and it should click into place. Just like that. Once you hear that click, then you know you've got your bobbin in place. If it's not sitting in there completely, that bobbin will fall out when you're sewing and make a big mess. So, all right, so now that I've got the bobbin in there, I wanna pull the thread up. And in order to pull the thread up, I have to get this needle to go all the way down and loop around that thread, okay? So that means I'm going to give the flywheel it's like 2 whole turns, right? Because if I just do 1 turn, that just puts the needle in the machine. And if you actually watch the lever, that lever's gonna go all the way down and then all the way back up. And when it gets to that up position, that's when you know your needle is completely out of there. So then, if you can see, there's just a little loop of bobbin thread, and I'm just gonna pull that out. Now I'm ready to sew, and I'm gonna start sewing here in just a second, and that'll be our next video.